Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My continuation of my book reading of the last Sherlock Holmes story. Chapter 5: Death at the Reichenbach Falls. In February 1891, a woman called Flora White was killed with a knife in Whitechapel. Everyone thought that the murderer was Jack the Ripper. I alone knew that this was not true. I was sure that Jack had not killed the last two women to die on the street of Whitechapel. Soon after this, Holmes left for France. He sent me a strange letter from there, which worried me very much. I could not understand a word of it, and began to wonder if he was taking cocaine again. This was his letter. If you remember the Berlin case of 1 in 3, Watson, everything will be clear to you because the famous German professor in Paris is no longer alive. I heard the news he was recently killed while studying flora in the White Mountains of my favorite islands. Letters and books are appearing soon. Read them quickly, but carefully, as I cannot always follow or understand him myself. Last night I dreamt, and the next day suddenly understood his problem. The time comes when he and others will be free. Not an easy escape. About 3 weeks after that, I was sitting alone at home one evening. My wife was away on a visit. Suddenly the door opened and Holmes came in. He then ran to the window, closed it and locked it. "Holmes," I cried. "What has happened? You look terrible." He looked old and ill, and he was shaking with tiredness. "What is it?" I asked. "Are you afraid of something?" "Of someone," he said. "Did you not get my letter?" "Yes, but I didn't understand it. What is wrong?" Holmes looked at me sadly. "You didn't understand it? Is your wife here?" "No, she's away." "Do you want to sleep here? I shall make sure that you are in no danger." He shook his head. "I cannot rest anymore. If I sleep, he will win. I cannot stay here. I would bring evil into this house. But you can help me, Watson. I must leave the country tomorrow. Will you come with me?" "Where are you going, Holmes?" "Going? I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to escape from him, but he will find me again, everywhere I go." "He will find me. Who is he, Holmes?" I asked. "Professor Moriarty, of course." "But Moriarty is dead," I said. "Dead?" he screamed. "He is trying to kill me. How can he be dead?" "But you told me that he was dead." "I was mistaken," Holmes said. "He is not dead. I told you that." "You told me? But when? Where?" "In my letter, man. The Berlin case. Every third word. A very easy hidden message, Watson. I thought even you—" "Oh, it doesn't matter. The fact is Moriarty is alive and free in London. He killed a woman only 3 weeks ago. He will kill again if I do not stop him. It is a fight to the death between us. Come with me and help me, Watson. See that you will come." "Of course I will come, old fellow," I said. He smiled and lay back in the chair. In a second he was asleep. Quickly I gave him an injection to keep him asleep. Then, with the help of my cook, I put him to bed and locked the bedroom door. After that I had a drink and sat down to think about what I must do. Perhaps I did not understand Holmes' hidden messages, but I did understand what was happening to the man. He was mad. I knew that now. All that was evil in him he called Moriarty. The fight with Moriarty was a battle that was taking place inside his own head. I had hoped that Jack the Ripper was dead, but he was not. And now another woman has been murdered. I felt that her blood was on my hands. The time has come when I must tell Holmes what I knew about him. But first, I had to be sure that I understood everything. I took a cab to Baker Street and went into Holmes' rooms. I did not know what I was looking for, but I began to search. The rooms were untidy, full of old newspapers. I searched for 4 hours but found nothing. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I stopped. I went to the window and looked out at the dark sky. Suddenly, I knew what to do. The house opposite, where Holmes had once seen Moriarty. I ran across and broke the lock on the back door of the house. Every room was empty, all except one bedroom. This contained a bed, a cupboard, and a box full of papers. All the papers were about the Whitechapel murders. Some were cut from newspapers, others were written by the killer himself. He described each murder with a sick enjoyment of what he had done. Under the papers I found some glass jars of a kind that are used in hospitals, and then were pieces of women's bodies. In the last jar was the worst thing of all, pieces of the body of a little unborn child. When I saw that, all the friendly feelings I have ever had for Sherlock Holmes died inside me. Now I could go straight to the street and ask him to arrest Holmes, but I chose not to do that. I did not want all England to know what Holmes, once a good and wise man, had become. Some evil things are best hidden from the world. I, and I alone, would face him and his crimes. So I went out into the cold morning air. I felt strangely calm, but also excited. Holmes was still asleep. I searched his clothes for drugs and guns, but found only a little money and his silver snuff box. Then I wrote a letter to the street. I told my cook to take it to my bank manager. If I failed to return, I asked him to send it to the street. In the letter, I told the street everything that I knew about Sherlock Holmes and the Whitechapel murders. And I was very tired, but I knew that I had to stay awake. I had to watch Holmes all the time. I decided to use the cocaine he had given me. I added water to the drug and put it into a medicine bottle. Then I injected some into my arm. It was time to look in on Holmes. As I opened the door, I saw that his bed was empty. He was behind the door. He tried to hit me, but the drug made me quick, and I jumped out of the way. "Watson," he cried. "Dear fellow, I thought you were Moriarty. One of his men is in your garden. You must go now. It's too dangerous to stay here." The man who he had seen was William, the gardener. "I will go and pack," I said. "No luggage. You must not know what we are doing." "Let me take your doctor's bag," I said. "He will think that I am going to visit a patient." "Excellent," Holmes said. I had the same idea myself. He did not know that I had packed the cocaine, money, and a gun in my doctor's bag. Holmes sent me out before him to find a cab. We drove through the streets, jumped out of the cab, ran some way, and found another cab. But at the station, Holmes said, "Moriarty is here. He has followed us. We must change trains as soon as we can." We jumped from the moving train, ran across fields, caught another train, and at last took the night boat from New Haven. For 5 days we traveled through France and Germany in the same wild and crazy way. Holmes would not see where we were going. I never took my eyes off him during those days, but the right moment to talk to him never came. Holmes seemed stronger than ever, while I was getting weaker every day. Only the cocaine made it possible for me to stay awake. Finally, sitting one night in a hotel in Switzerland, I knew that I could not go on much longer. I had told Holmes that next day I wanted to walk over the mountains to the famous Reichenbach Falls. I decided I would tell him what I knew about him when we were alone in the mountains. The cocaine was almost finished. Whether I lived or died, the end must come that day. We did not begin our walk to the Reichenbach Falls until the afternoon. Holmes refused to go out before lunch. I was frightened. I had no more cocaine, and soon I would be too tired to go on. At last, we left the hotel and started to walk along the mountain paths. Holmes talked happily as we went. He found the mountains very beautiful. When we had gone a little way, I found that I had left my watch at the hotel. It had belonged to my father, and I wanted to know that it was safe. I told Holmes that I would return to the hotel, find the watch, and see him later at the falls. I hoped that I was doing the right thing, that he would not disappear. When at last I reached the falls, I could not see him, and thought for a moment that he had escaped me. But then I saw a narrow path which was cut into the rock right above the falls themselves. Holmes was standing on the path, watching the water crash down onto the rocks. There was nowhere he could run to. It could not be easier for me. I moved towards him. Suddenly, he turned and our eyes met. His look was cool and untroubled. How could I hope to frighten this man? My heart failed me, and I almost fell. He stepped forward to help me, but I pulled out my gun. Back, I shouted. Another step and I shall shoot. He smiled. Very well, doctor, I understand. My hands shook and I almost dropped the gun. It's over, Holmes, I said. I've been to the empty house. I know everything. He laughed. Dear fellow, nobody knows everything. He seemed to hear voices coming from me from the water, and I could now see two Holmes. One on the path and one standing on air. I found the jars, Holmes, and the papers. I know you killed them. I killed them. Which? The jars or the papers? Nothing seemed real. It was getting harder and harder for me to speak. Holmes watched me, smiling. I know you did it, Holmes, I shouted. I watched you cut Mary Kelly to pieces. You killed him. Let me hear you say that you did. What is it you want me to say? Say you killed him. You killed him. I'm going to shoot you, Holmes, I screamed. Before you die, tell me that you understand what you have done. You are mad, doctor, he said. And you're talking rubbish. Go on, shoot me. I shot him. I shot again and again, but still he stood there. Finally, I fell to the ground and I could not move. It seemed a long time before I could say, Why aren't you dead? I stared up at him as he stood above me, calmly inhaling snuff from his snuff box. I took the bullets from your gun and put in blanks, he said conversationally. Tell me, Moriarty, when did you kill Watson? You are very clever. You look almost like him, but I know who you are. When I saw you injecting cocaine 3 times a day, I knew then for sure that you were not my dear friend. Dr. Watson would never take drugs. Your cocaine is finished, isn't it? Poor Moriarty. Did you not realize that my snuff box contains cocaine, not snuff? I felt sick and weak. Before my eyes, Holmes was changing color, red, then green, then blue. I shook my head to clear it, but he was still talking. And your letter, telling the streets that I was the Whitechapel murderer, what rubbish. How Scotland Yard would laugh. But I have the letter here. I saw it in your cook's hand, and took it from her while you were calling the cab. You have failed, Moriarty. I have enjoyed making you run around Europe with me, but now you must die. He took out a long knife. Holmes, I cried, I am Watson, your friend. Watson, I have tried to save you from yourself and from the police. He held up the knife and stepped towards me. If you kill me, I screamed, Moriarty will win. That is what he wants. Kill your only friend and Moriarty has won. I closed my eyes and waited for the pain and the darkness. It did not come. I opened my eyes and saw that Holmes was looking at me. He had put the knife down. The look in his eyes was sadder than anything I have ever seen. He seemed to see far into both the past and the future, and to find them sad beyond words. Never fear, old fellow, he said. I shall not let him hurt you. Then he stepped backwards off the path. I saw his body hit the rocks far below. And that was the end of chapter 5, and now I only have one small part, which is called the conclusion, and this will be the end of this book reading. Conclusion. 2 days later I woke up. I was in bed at the hotel, and somebody had found me on the edge of the path, high above the Reichenbach Falls. After a week I returned to London. I went immediately to the empty house, where I burned the papers and destroyed the jars. I want to be sure that nobody would ever know the evil things that Holmes had done. I want only the good that was in my friend to live on after his death. I was lucky. ECD has been busy writing more stories about Holmes. These stories were an immediate success. ECD became a famous writer, and people who had never met Holmes the man, knew Holmes the storybook detective. As the years passed, people began to forget that Sherlock Holmes had ever been a real person. After Holmes' death, my life was difficult for a long time. It was 2 years before I could live without cocaine. I could not work, and my wife and I had little money. My story is at an end. Since Holmes' death, I had lived quietly, but sometimes, as I sit by the fire in the evening, I think of that day at the Reichenbach Falls. I hear again the gentleness of Holmes' last words, and see the light of understanding in his eyes during those last moments, when he seemed once again the best and wisest man I have ever known. And that was the end of my book reading, the last Sherlock Holmes story. Thank you so much for listening. I really enjoyed this book. And let me know what you thought of this book reading. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.